All right. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and great glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Achak, Radash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and salutations to the elect pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth in truth and in sincerity. All right, in this particular video, I want to touch on what's going on right now between the United States, Russia, Ukraine, Poland, and NATO. All right. Now, September 9th, 2025, not too long ago, a few weeks ago, Russia deployed some drones, and those drones invaded Poland airspace. In response, Poland shot down some of the drones, but they also called for Article 4. Article 4 is all the NATO allies get together and they talk about what just happened. The next step is Article 5, which basically is an armed response. Every nation of that's a part of NATO, they will retaliate how they see fit, because an attack on one NATO country is an attack on all of them, right? So right now they call for Article 4. So within this Article 4, you have Donald Trump coming out and saying that if you see any Russian drone, jet, whatever, you shoot it down, okay? And he also did a U-turn with the whole war that's going on right now between Russia and Ukraine. All right, he did a whole flip. And what was that flip? Now, before he was trying to say he's stopping the war, he wants to stop it. All right, don't forget he ran on that whole thing that he can bring peace between Russia and Ukraine. He said he can stop that in 2 days. When he becomes president, he can stop that in 2 days. Well, it's been months. It's been about 9 months, going on 10. And he has not stopped it at all. See, the last meeting that he had with Putin, he came out and was talking about, see, this is really Biden's war. This is Biden's war. And he really gave the notion like, yo, there's no stopping this war. But he was acting like he wanted peace, 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 right? But now he made a U-turn. Now he's saying that he believes Ukraine can actually beat Russia, take back the territory that they lost from Russia, and not just take it back, they can even expand their borders. All right? So what do you think Putin is going to say? Well, he did a response. He says, you know what? War is the only way now. War is the only way. All right? No more negotiating, no more playing. All right? All right, no more meeting up at the round table and talking bullshit. War is the only way. And what does this remind you of? This is good. Isaiah 13, and we're going to start with 17. All right, and we read, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. The Medes in this case is going to be who? Russia. Them. Who's the them? America. Which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. You see? The Medes are going to get stirred up against America. They're going to get pissed off with America. And there's going to be no more negotiating room with Russia anymore. All right? Don't forget Ezekiel 38. When the Lord said he's going to put hooks into Russia's jaws and turn them. All right? Turn them back to what? That old USSR spirit. Union, Soviet Socialist Republic spirit, man. All right? That's old Soviet Union spirit, man. Of hating America. All right? And Russia's going to start to be allies to the littler nations, which we see Russia doing to this day. All right? Because don't forget, Ukraine used to be a part of the USSR, the Soviet Union, man. But they became independent. Now, America is using them as a pawn right now, as a proxy to go to war with Russia. All right? And also escalating the war between Russia and Ukraine, giving them weaponry, funding them, so forth and so on. Crossing Russia's red lines, man. Been pissing Russia off for a minute. All right? They've been being stirred up for a minute. All right. I remember one incident that really escalated the tension between the United States and Russia was what? When they gave Ukraine the abilities to use long-range missiles to strike deep into Russia. All right. After that, that changed the game. You see, Russia became very hard in their stance. You see, it says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. There's going to be no more talking with them. And they already said the response of Russia was what? No more talking. War is the only way. So we're seeing prophecy jump off the page right now. So we're going to play this video. I might stop it. I'm going to try not to stop it too much. But, you know, if the spirit take over, this, that's just what it's going to be. But, yeah, let's hop into this and we're going to exit this out.
New war developments coming out today, September 24th, 2025. As take a look at the latest headlines with me. Russia says there's no choice but war after Trump U-turns on Ukraine. Now, after Trump's U-turn, can Ukraine restore its pre-border wars? So this coming out today, the 24th, as we're hearing that yesterday, we saw.
And the only way that Ukraine can do that is by being heavily funded by the United States and also heavily equipped with United States weaponry, man. You see? That's the only way that they can do that. So after he flipped, Russia also started giving Iran jets, man. Equipping them. They've been equipping them with weaponry, not just Russia, China as well. Russia also been equipping the proxy groups of Iran with weapons too. The Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas. Now that whole 12-day war that they had over there, I believe was a part of the 12-day war or before it, when that whole thing was going on or before it, you had Israel strike a Russian asset, which was an air base. Russia came out and said that it wasn't an air base; it was actually, a warehouse. That's neither here nor there. But we know Israel did do a strike on Russian assets. Why? Because they were actually funding the Houthis, all right, Iran's proxy groups. Now, getting back to the original point, is the only way that Ukraine can go to war, stand toe-to-toe with Russia, is to have intervention from the United States.
Donald Trump come out and make an announcement that any NATO members should shoot down Russian aircrafts, drones out of the sky if they're being violated. And in addition to that, he said that he believes that Ukraine could flip the war, take control, defeat Russia, take back all of its territory back to its original pre-war borders. And in addition to that, he said even could potentially take more as well. Man, let me know your thoughts now. That is why we're seeing this response coming out, as Russia is saying that war is now the only choice after Trump's U-turn. And let's take a look here now. This is what we saw coming out yesterday. Trump had said that NATO countries should shoot down Russian jets that violate the airspace. Now, in an extraordinary shift, Trump says Ukraine, they can win the war with Russia. And take a look at this coming out today. Now we're hearing that Russia is also delivering MiG-29 jets to Iranian Air Force as well. What do you think's going on here? Is Russia positioning and unifying with allies for a potential expansion of the war, as they are coming out and saying now, after what Donald Trump has said, war is the only way forward? Forget negotiations. We had actually heard Donald Trump vocalized this as well, that things had fallen apart. He had become very frustrated with Vladimir Putin, and now we're hearing Russia coming out and saying war is the only way.
You see, no negotiations. Both sides is done with each other. All right. The Lord said what? He will stir up the Medes against them. Ezekiel 38. Once again, he's going to put hooks into his jaw and turn him. All right. Hooks into your jaw. Once again, if you was fishing, and when that fish bite that bait, that's a hook into that fish's jaw. So it can be trying to go the opposite way in which what you are, and you reeling it in. You do what? You turn them. Excuse me. All right. So that's what the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, is doing to Russia, turning them back into that spirit of just hating America. Now we see it unraveling right now. We see prophecy jumping off of the page, man. No more negotiations, no more none of that. Now, things could change, but hey, we'll just keeping our eyes on it.
Forward. So for those of you that have been dropping war in the comments, saying that we're not going to have peace, we're going to have war, looks like you were right. Right now, what we're hearing today, September the 24th, 2025, is that this is the path forward. Now, the question is, how far into this war are we going to go? Is the Russia-Ukraine war going to spill over into NATO? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. But what we're hearing is right now, Article 4 has already been initiated. The NATO nations are discussing this week how much they need to defend their territory against Russia. And if they decide they need to go to the next step, it's going to be Article 5, where all nations are going to be joining together against Russia in the NATO alliance. And we're hearing the United States has also vocalized that they will defend every inch of NATO territory, which means the United...
But NATO was going to abandon America, all right? Don't forget, Revelations, I believe, 17, 15, around there. It said the beast shall hate the whore. The beast is NATO and the EU. It said the beast shall hate the whore being America, right? And it said shall burn her flesh. So NATO's going to turn on America. Don't forget Jeremiah chapter 50, 9. You can skip down, after you read 9, skip down to the 14th verse, where it says, all ye that bend the bow will shoot their nukes on America. You see? Bending the bow meaning have nuclear capabilities. You see? And France is an ally to America and also the UK. And they are nuclear powers. So they are also going to turn on America, thus saith the Lord. That's prophecy, man. So we have this. So people that don't know the prophecies, they will see, they will think that United States and NATO was going to all get together and they're going to jump Russia and put Russia back in its place. So they think it is not going to go down like that. All right. Don't forget, Russia is going to be the main one leading the charge in this whole World War III. You see?
States would essentially be going to war with Russia. Now, we've heard that Donald Trump has said that he is willing to go this route. However, he says that NATO nations need to stop buying Russian oil. He said it makes you look ridiculous. You're potentially going to be going to war with somebody that you're still buying their oil. He said this needs to stop. But it looks like Russia is positioning, and I see people dropping yes into the comments. So I'm going to dive into the latest articles, put them on the screen, read right from them. As you know, I cite all my sources, try to hold myself to the highest level of accountability. You're going to be able to see the dates, see where they come from. They're hyperlinked in the description, so you can go ahead and click them, go read them for yourself if you'd like. But I'm going to put it on the screen, read right from it. And if you appreciate that, take a second before we dive in and hit that like button for me. In addition to that, subscribe if you want to join on with Russia, Ukraine, Iran, Hamas. There's so much taking place. I'll keep you up to date on everything. Now, in addition to that, I wanted to mention before we dive into the video footage that if you're retired or you know somebody, we got potential global conflict as the dollar is devaluing.
Right now, he's just advertising buying gold and silver. That's why I'm skipping.
Well, I wanted to introduce an idea, especially in RAM. No obligation, even call and just get information. If you're interested, why not give them a call? Lear Capital today. Thank you, making that available to my viewing. Has responded to Donald Trump's U-turn on the Russia-Ukraine war, and he is saying war is the only path forward. Let's go ahead and start off with some video footage.
Ukrainian President Zelensky is optimistic over the additional assistance from the United States against Russia. Vladimir Putin, listen.
President Trump understands that we need more pressure on him. There's not enough pressure from the Europe. They are our partners, but it's not enough. We need pressure directly on Putin, and we count on sanctions from the United States side.
Hi everyone.
Directly on Putin, and we count on sanctions from the United States side.
Meanwhile, President Trump is saying, quote, in a huge Truth Social post, I'll take an excerpt. I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of their Ukraine back in its original form. Here to discuss this is Ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz, in his first interview since being sworn in officially. Ambassador, congratulations.
Thanks, Brian.
You're in the eye of the storm. The change in positions of President Trump to where he is right now with President Zelensky, how would you characterize it?
Well, I think you're seeing the president's frustration and disappointment, frankly, with Putin. He has made innumerable calls. We had the summits in Saudi Arabia, in Turkey, in Alaska, obviously. And look, at the end of the day, Putin has to end this war. The president has made it very clear his intent. And what you're seeing now is you're seeing, with the president's urging, you're seeing Europe increasingly stepping up. They're now committing 5% of their GDP, which for years, it was not only, it wasn't even just half, it was just a third that was meeting the bare minimum of 2%. So they're stepping up. They're buying our weapons. They're taking more responsibility for their security. And eventually, one way or another, Putin's going to get the message. And one other point, Brian, that I think is that we have to hammer, and the president hammered home in his speech yesterday, Europe can't be buying Russian oil and gas at the same time they're demanding help to fight this war. And that has to stop.
And do you also believe we have to lift the restrictions on the weapons we give Ukraine and let them hit the country that invaded them with long-range rockets?
Well, I'll leave that to...
They already gave them long-range missiles. So I don't know what they're talking about right here.
Look, I'll leave that to the president, Secretary Hegseth, Secretary Rubio, as they're working that out with NATO, both NATO and the Ukrainians on those restrictions. But the broader piece here is that the president is going to do whatever it takes, and he's going to shift positions if he needs to get this war to end.
And that's pretty clear. He's open to listening to all sides, and I think he's building a bond with Zelensky. Take a look at where the current battle lines are, and you know the borders from the invasion. This is where we stand right now in the war. This is what they're looking to push back on, and this is the line pretty much that Ukraine has held. Now look, Mike, Ambassador, if you will, at the places in which they breach the airspace of NATO allies. This has not happened before. The president yesterday said this about what he recommends our allies do.
Do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do. What do you think? How would Russia digest that statement?
Well, number one, it's common sense coming from the president. We talked about this in my first Security Council meeting, which was just Monday, that the Estonians called. And between the violations of Romanian airspace, Polish airspace, and now Estonian airspace, I think Putin, the Russians, should take the message from the president. He's not messing around. He's incredibly serious. The Iranians learned painfully that he will use sticks as well as carrots.
Will you bring that message to the Russian ambassador in the UN?
We just brought that message with the Russians present just yesterday.
Hope they got it. How do you see your mission at the UN? The president in his speech outlined how let down he is, and we are as a country, by the way the UN is not taking advantage of the charter they were given in the 1940s. What are you recommending they do? What has to change?
Well, number one, they need to stop doing, like we've seen in our own government, and we saw with USAID and others, they need to stop all of this woke nonsense. There are 7 UN agencies focused on climate change. There was a commission called the George Floyd Commission where Biden allowed UN investigators to come into U.S. cities and pass judgment on our judges and policing with countries like North Korea and Venezuela weighing in. They need to get, as the president has said, they need to get back to basics, stopping wars, preventing wars, helping him, as the Secretary General pledged yesterday, helping him craft these peace deals. And then, separately, there's some people saying just get the heck out, walk away. But there has to be one place in the world where everybody can get together and talk.
You got stuff done.
The president had 150 world leaders there yesterday and he powered through the teleprompter nonsense. But 150 world leaders listening to him, to his vision on immigration, on energy independence, and on his vision for world peace.
So Jean Kirkpatrick really defined her career at that position. I think Nikki Haley made a huge impact as ambassador. What impact can you make in this position?
Well, of course, my priorities will be the president's priorities and Secretary Rubio's priorities. But this is a place where, we have countries that have presence here at the UN that don't even in Washington, D.C. It's a place where we can talk, if the president wants to the Venezuelans, to the Cubans, the Europeans, to the developing African nations, of course, the Russians and Chinese and others. So this is a president of peace. He absolutely deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. And the UN can and should be a forum where we can engage and actually get things done.
And if you could relay that to us here, we're just now across the, just across the city, and it's a quick ride when the president's not in town and the UN's not in town. Congratulations on the position, Ambassador.
Appreciate it.
Great to see you.
What's the first thing a bird notices about you?
Your natural manly sense.
Women love men who use Dr. Squatch.
Working in law enforcement and in juvenile detention center, I got to see the...
And the UN's not in town. Congratulations on the position, Ambassador.
Appreciate it.
Great to see you.
There you have it, you guys. Now, let me know your thoughts. You heard him say that Donald Trump is a president of peace. He's doing a great job. If you agree, drop a 47 for support for Donald Trump and all the effort he's been doing. And also, we saw him address and stand up and take a stance against all the nations of the UN, saying they're empty, they're weak. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of potential, but they are doing nothing. Trump really taking it to the UN yesterday in that speech, kind of passive aggressive, kind of poking at first, then letting them know, no, I am upset about a lot of the things that are going on, and really just kind of laying it out there. And also ruffling a lot of feathers yesterday with this. Let's take a look at this here. This coming out today. Russia says no choice but war after Trump's U-turn on Ukraine. So Russia is saying that war is the only path forward. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. As it says, Kremlin also says that U.S.-Russia rapprochement yields close to zero results as fears grow in Europe of Ukraine spillover. And we're hearing that that could be NATO going to war with Russia. The Kremlin has announced that it has no alternative but to continue waging war as it pushed back on the United States President Donald Trump's sudden sea change towards Ukraine that saw him brand Russia a paper tiger. So yesterday, Donald Trump, his rhetoric was very against Russia, and we saw this shift, and now Russia is responding. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov hit back at Trump's claim that Ukraine could, in effect, win the war, declaring on Wednesday that Russia would be continuing its offensive on Ukraine to ensure our interests and achieve the goals. Now, we are doing this for both the present and the future of our country for many generations to come. Therefore, we have no alternative, he said in a radio interview with Russia's RBC radio station. Tuesday had seen Trump throw his weight behind Ukraine after a meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, posting on social media that the country was in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form, signaling his rapprochement with Russia was over. The U.S. president said, Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. Russia's war was making it look like a paper tiger with a failing economy, he said.
You see that? Hey, and all of this going on, Trump also threatened Brazil, China, I believe India as well. Basically all the BRICS nations, that if they buy oil from Russia, they will be hit with 100% tariffs. You see? Hey, man. Well, I hope the point was made. Hope you can take something from this. You see, things are escalating. We see got prophecy jumping off of the page. And before we get out of here, I want to show you Zelensky. Let's look at Zelensky. I had looked at him already. This is Zelensky right here. Let's look at that. That's your boy Zelensky. He was dead ass serious. Ugh. Dude's a fruit bowl, man. Dude's a honeycup. All right, he's sweet as hell, man. That's him. Hey, man. Hey. Oh, yeah. That's your boy. That's your boy Zelensky, man. Yo, whose man's is this? Anyway, hope this is edifying. It's a little joking, whatever. But hope you can take something from this. Hey, man, we're getting closer and closer to the end every day. With that, say shalom.